Hi everybody, welcome back to Vlogmas, where I'm posting a video every day in December. I am in the process of getting through reflecting on my 2022 goals and setting my 2023 goals. And today I am beginning this MakseLife 2022 year-end reflections journal. This is a new product for them this year that was a gift with purchase with any purchase from them, or you can buy it on the website. I'll link it down below. I am an affiliate with them. I've already talked about my 2022 goals kind of in a practical sense, and you can check out that video if you want to. I'll leave it linked below. But this is going to be sort of a reflection on how the year went. And I have heard from a number of people who have already started it that it does get heavy. And so I'm taking you with me for the ride. This will likely not just happen in one day. Plus, I don't have all the time in the world right now. I have about half an hour before I'd like to move on to something else. So we'll see what I can get done. But this video will be this will be this video, and then you'll see my 2023 goals. But as usual, I will film the whole process, so you'll see that. Although the part of the process you haven't seen yet is me having thoughts in the shower and like just thinking about it on my walks with Layla. That is something I love to do. But this will be when I start to like crystallize the things I've been thinking about. In terms of supplies, like I said, I have the Reflections Journal. I've got my Pentel Energel RTX gel pen. I have the Moxie markers, which are matched to the colors now. Plus I have in my old sack all the dot markers I've been using, as well as the Mildliner colors I've been using. So we've got all the things here to get through this. I don't tend to do pre-work. I know that some people, I love watching Taylor from Tattoo Teacher Plans, but she does a lot of it ahead of time, so it looks nice in her journal. I like to just go balls deep and just to continue to use heinous metaphors. I like to raw dog it. So that's what we're going to do here. Here is the 2022 compass. Now, this does not include the questions for the compass, and I like to use the questions. I'm just going to fill them out in my planner because this is going to be the same assessment that I use for 2023. I'm not going to redo it tomorrow if I start working on my goals tomorrow. So let's just go that way. If you haven't already seen my planner stack video that already went up, I'll link that as well. But this is my MakseLife flagship for 2023. This is going to be my planner for next year, so I might as well just do the assessment scoring now. So I'm going to take care of that really quick, and then we will do some averaging. I'm going to fill out the compass assessment in the planner when I'm doing the planning for the year. So I'm going to do the year in review right now. And what I'm going to do is first I'm going to go to the 2022 year in review. I'm going to go to my beginning of my very first planner. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the score that I had at the beginning of the year and the goal that I had at the beginning of the year. The score that I started with is going to be with my pen, and the score that I wanted to end the year with is going to be with my Moxie marker. See, I've already fucked up. I thought that I read my thing wrong, that I started the year at a 7 or at a 6 for finances, and it was a 5. Anyway, I don't care, whatever. Okay, so like I said, the start of the year was the pen, and then the Moxie marker was the goal I had. And note that I did surpass some of these goals at the beginning of the year, and I extended my goal later in the year. But things shift and they fluctuate, especially considering that I anticipate some of these will have gone down because even since my last quarterly assessment, I have found out I'm going on dialysis, and my outlook on things has shifted dramatically. Let me fill in these really quick. These start of 2022 scores. And so the current scores, I'm going to fill them in, and we'll see where if they surpass any of this. Also note, I'm going to round down on all of these because that's how I've been doing it, is just to round down, even if it's like a higher number. But I do keep the decimal points because that's important to see if there has been any little progress or not. So my current personal is an 8.75, so almost a 9. I wanted to get to a 9, so I could almost say I got it. So I feel really good about the progress I made. As I said in my previous goals video, I feel quite excellent about the progress I made in this particular category. These markers are very juicy. All right. Fun and recreation. I started the year at a 4 and I wanted to get to a 6. And this was one of the ones I actually extended the goal, but I wound up ending it at 7.38. So we're going to call it a 7. I extended past my goal, and considering that this was the lowest score to start the year out, I am totally okay with that. Work and learning. I started the year at an 8. I wanted to end at a 9, and it actually is ending at a 6.5. So 6, which is lower. And I expected this. I already knew it was kind of drifting lower because of how bad my health has declined in the last 6 months or so. Like, I knew I had genetic kidney disease and I knew I was already feeling like shit all year, but this last like 6 months has been it's been brutal. So that doesn't surprise me whatsoever. And then family and relationships started at a 7. I wanted it to get to an 8. And I'm ending the year to 7.13. So kind of held steady on that one, which actually is better than I anticipated. I kind of thought I was going to go down on this one as well. Not because I didn't do great, but because I just didn't. This was one of those goals I felt kind of wishy-washy about when I went over them. And the purple is the bleediest of the markers, for me at least. For health and wellness, this is the wild card category because I was feeling pretty good about it for a while, but now I'm feeling less good about it. I started the year at a 6. That's wrong. I started the year at a 5, wanted to end at a 7, and I'm ending the year at a 5.75. So almost a 6. So I did make some progress, but we're going to leave it at a 5 that it stayed the same, which in and of itself I think is a good enough response for me, honestly, considering, again, the dialysis news that hit at the end of the year. Spiritual and personal growth. This was one of the ones, the only reason this one's not lower is because there are some questions that I score high in, like I know what my values are and I feel like I live them out. It's the side of it that involves like attending like a spiritual community and stuff that I struggle with. So I started the year at a 6, wanted to get to a 7, ended the year at a 6.25. So we're going with that. For financial, I started the year at a 5, and I am ending the year at a 6.38. So I did increase that, but I had increased it further earlier in the year, and then it went back down again, in part just because some of the things, the progress I had been making kind of stymied because I was not working as much, because I wasn't feeling very good. So there's some factors that went into that. And then finally, physical environment. Started the year at a 6, wanted to end it at an 8, ended it at a 9.13. This, of all of the goals, this and actually the personal, although technically I didn't get to where I wanted to be, but I felt like I knocked it out of the park. Physical environment, fun and recreation, and personal were the 3 that I really felt excellent about. So overall, we have up, down, same, up. So overall, my scores did increase. And again, I'm going to hang on to this because I'm basically just going to copy some of this over into my new planner. So area of life that increased the most was both fun and recreation and physical environment. And the one that decreased the most was work and learning. This is going to take a while. I think I'm going to work through the rest of this tomorrow. So you'll see me in just a second, but I'll see you then. It's the next day. I'm going to just pick this right back up from where we left off yesterday, and I'm going to start with my wins and highlights. So I have my planner from this year and the one, I don't have my one before that, it's on the shelf, but I could review that, but I'm going to just see what I can think about. Maybe go to my annual goals, because that's where I kind of kept track of what I wanted to do, and it will like trigger my memories and the things that were the most important to me that happened. For my wins, some of the ones I listed were the house feels furnished like a home. I actually took 2 days off per week and a monthly 3-day weekend all year. I completed one little word, which technically isn't true yet because I still have to do December, but I know exactly what I'm doing for December, and I'm planning on doing it on Friday after we visit the zoo lights tomorrow night, when I'm filming this at least. Doing the MakseLife cover. I hired a fantastic cleaning service that we have twice a month. Successfully planted my green stalk, and we got Odin. I'm sure there's more, but this is just what came to mind. Seeing all my family both in August and November. Sunny finished high school. Jess and I went to the Lavender Festival, which I want to kind of make an annual thing because that was rad. We went and saw Hadestown. Ooh, the food festival too. That was really fun. Taking Layla to the dog park at the state park and going to the creek with her. House of the Dragon maybe is not the biggest highlight, but for me it was because I've been waiting for this show for years. Dragonflight for World of Warcraft is awesome. That's a really recent one, but I'm having so much fun playing it with Jessie. And we hosted a party here, and that was something really awesome. The next spread is challenges and lessons. I feel like doing the wins and the highlights kind of together worked because it was like, ooh, this thing, is it a win or is it a highlight? This thing, is it a win or is it a highlight? Whereas with these two, these are both kind of different from each other. So I'm going to sort of just focus on one at a time. So the challenges that I overcame this year, and some of them were not even mine to overcome, but I'm putting them down here because I think they shaped a lot of the year, especially when the summer hit. The summer seemed to be a pretty challenging time just in general, not only for me, but for my family here and my greater family as a whole. So overall, the biggest challenge, and I don't think I overcame it as much as I'm learning to manage it because I don't think it's something I can overcome, is feeling the worst that I've ever felt in my life. And it is progressively getting worse quickly. It's not like it's a stagnant worst. And I guess you can add then to that, finding out it's time for dialysis. Secondly, it's been a really hard year for our family in terms of deaths and medical crises. Jesse's mom's husband died from cancer. My grandmother died. Other members of my grandmother's family are not doing so well. Other members of our family. It's just been a really rough year. We were talking about it in my family group chat. It's just been, especially for specific generations of my family, it's been really hard. And that has sort of flavored the rest of the year. On top of that, my brother-in-law's medical crisis that happened this summer, I talked about it quite a bit then. He had serotonin syndrome, wound up being in the hospital for quite some time. It was a really bad situation, and it happened at the time my kids were supposed to be vacationing with my sister and brother-in-law, so the plans they had were canceled, and my kids were glad to be there to help with my sister, but it was stressful for us because my sister, I didn't want her to have to worry about the kids, but neither kid drives. And so we were like sending them DoorDash gift certificates, and my uncles showed up to take them out and like get them out of the house. So a situation that was already going to be challenging just for me to process because it's my brother-in-law and I love him, and my sister being impacted by this and I love her, but also having my kids be there and not being able to help either my sister and brother-in-law or my kids. Very hard for me as somebody who really, really relies on my family and how much I love them. Jess and I had some times this year where our stress levels were both kind of out of control and our communication fell apart. It's not like it happens in any relationship, but that definitely was something that was challenging this year that we are working through. Managing Layla's energy, especially after we got Odin, it was a bit of a roller coaster there for a while with big puppy energy, and we're at the point now where we have got it under control, so we have overcame that, but we also recognize it is very easy for it to get out of control if we don't stick to our schedule. All the car shit. I got 2 car accidents this year, plus my car had a part that just was faulty, and I wound up having to have it back in the shop. Thankfully, it was covered by warranty. And Sunny's path, well, the highlight was Sunny finishing high school. The challenge was the path to getting there. With Sunny's health problems and mental health struggles, it was not a conventional way to finish high school, let's just say. Feelings of stress and guilt over not working so much and bringing in less money, and then finding out that it's time for dialysis. Definitely a challenge. I'm not sure I've overcame it yet, though. Lessons. What did I learn about myself? What am I most proud of this year? The big piece I learned about myself and what I'm most proud of is that I keep going. even with everything else, even with as bad as I'm feeling, even with how crappy I feel each morning, I still keep going. That doesn't mean that every day I'm fucking super productive or whatever. Some days I spend half the day in bed, but I mean, Vlogmas has shown that. But the fact that I keep going, that I just keep putting one foot in front of the other, however that might look. I think this year, with as shitty as I've been feeling, it's something I'm really proud of. Kind of on that note, the other two things I wrote here kind of go together. First and foremost, one thing I've observed about myself is that I've now sort of settled into a place of generally keeping a positive outlook while still being realistic. There have been times in my life that I have been overly positive to the point of sticking my head in the sand, and there have been parts of my life where I have been overly cynical and haven't been able to see the good in things. And I think I might have finally found a good balance of those. Something about feeling so awful, it makes you take stock of everything else and realize like what things in my life aren't as bad as I thought that they were, or as maybe aren't as fraught as I thought that they were. It doesn't mean there's still not something I want to work on or whatever, or like something that can suck, but my perspective, I think, is getting a little different, and I'm proud of myself for that. The next prompt is growth. How have I changed? How have I grown from a year ago? There's, I think, a very specific sort of direction I'm feeling about writing for this, because when I think about the goals that I had this last year, I had a lot of focus on doing things that are fun for me without being work related, and really trying to nurture hobbies and fun in my life, because that was something that felt really sort of underwhelming in the previous year. You know, there's other things I did this year, but that's really, I think, where I had some of the most growth, I guess. This isn't super deep. Honestly, this really isn't super deep, but first and foremost, I guess the deepest of all of these is that I have gotten better at letting go of things. I'm a bit of a control freak, and it's hard for me to ask. It's one of the reasons it's hard for me to ask for help, and it's a very big reason as to why I struggle sometimes delegating. I wouldn't say I'm great at it yet, but I have gotten better at it, in part because I've had to. I've had to ask for more help. And Jesse has not once in the past, I wouldn't say 9 months, had to say to me, don't apologize, just say thank you when I ask him for help because I can't bend over or something. And I'm like, I'm sorry. And he'll say that. And I still do apologize for that sometimes, but he has noted that it has been a lot less. I don't seem as ashamed of needing help anymore. I found some hobbies I love. I've spent more time outside thanks to Layla, and thanks to Layla, I am also not as scared of dogs as I used to be. I used to have a major terror of big dogs, and now between Layla just in general and going to the dog park on a regular basis, big dogs can jump on me, and it stresses me out because I don't want my kidneys squished, but like they used to like put me into like fight or like flee mode, and that doesn't happen anymore. And my life is so much more joyful. Both the cat thing that was Loki. He broke me of my hatred of cats. But with Layla and Odin and Lou, it just reminds, like, I feel my life is better with my pets in it. And I'm grateful for that. And I am very grateful that, especially because we got Layla so late in 2021. We got her on Halloween in 2021, and she was still so young and still so scared, but she's come out of her shell this year, and by having her come out of her shell, it has helped me come out of my shell when it comes to other dogs. So I'm very happy about that. Maybe I should write that in my grateful list. My gratitude list got a little longer than it usually does, which I appreciate. So at the top are some of the obvious ones, right? My Jess and the kids, the pets, Amy and Becca, my sisters, my Uncle Rich, who's basically our surrogate parent now, and the rest of my family and Jesse's family. They're awesome. The years I had with my grandma, I'm so grateful to have lived 42 years of my life with her in it. I know that that's lucky. A lot of people don't get to have their grandparents for that long. How well my cousin is doing. He's doing so well. It was so good to see him. And he had a lot of struggles for a lot of his adult life. And the fact that, like, he's doing so well, it was so good to see him. My brother-in-law recovering, my patrons, my community, my friends. Sushi Den, which is the expensive sushi restaurant here, but God damn it if it's amazing. And I actually have it on my calendar for Friday to make my reservations for Sunny's birthday for that place, because you have to make them 3 weeks in advance to get it. That's when they open them, and this place books up real fast. Blended strawberry margaritas, specifically at the Mexican restaurant that's walking distance from our house. They are fucking good. The food is okay. We're Californians. We're used to like delicious taco trucks, but the margaritas are chef's kiss. My fabulous house. I'm so grateful for my house. I love my house. My kidney doctor, the headache clinic that I've been going to. My migraines are finally under control. I have effective treatments for them. Thank God. And the dialysis and transplant teams at UC Health have just been nothing but amazing. And I am so grateful that my insurance covers them. And then finally, all of the people who have asked about being a donor, have tried to get tested or have tried to get screened and have been turned down for whatever reason, have been in or are in the process of screening. Anybody who's even thought about doing it, I'm so grateful for you. I really appreciate it. It's even considering it is a gift, and I'm so immensely grateful. What's working and what's not working? What's working in my life and what's not working well in my life? This should be fun. So what's working? Plant care, general home upkeep, stuff with the pets. RJ's trucking right along. Sunny is on an upward trend. Still, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but we're working on it. I've gotten better at taking regular time off. My self-care maintenance in terms of things like manicures and taking care of my skin and things like that have been going really well. Getting outside, thanks to Layla. My video game hobbies have perked back up again. Basic work stuff, like basic work maintenance, is going well. And my health maintenance and being proactive with like doctor's appointments and prescriptions, that's going well. However, on the what's not working side, we've got outside maintenance. The outside is going to be a big project for this next year. Going to church or lack thereof. So spiritual community stuff. Too much takeout and delivery. Way too much. Which has resulted, not necessarily directly, but followed up by spending too much money on that. And we've also run up a little bit of debt in this last year as things have come up. Still having some oopsies taking my meds on time. Kidney brain is making everything really difficult. I'm hoping that dialysis helps with some of that. Seeing friends has been one of the things that seems to keep getting kicked back to the back burner. Work projects and more direction, so bigger than just the standard maintenance stuff, that's been a major struggle for me. Monitoring my blood pressure, getting exercise on the Peloton, and taking regular time off for Jessie. Those are the things that are not working well right now. Now, this is the section that I have been told by some of my patrons was one of the harder sections to do in terms of bringing up emotions. This is the impact section. How do I want people to experience me? I could make so many jokes right now. In what ways do I want to create an impact in the lives of my loved ones or the world at large? Okay, let's go for it. I want to be my family's rock. I want them to feel loved and safe with me. I want my community, including my family, including the internet community, including all of you, and including the people that I meet and I spend time with in person, to know when they come to me that they will find empathy, that they will find humor, and that they will find compassion. I want to model, I have the hiccups. I want to model being my authentic self without shame. And I want people to know that hard shit happens, but that you can get through it, even if the getting through it is messy. Because life is messy. Life is messy and beautiful. That's the message of my life. I can both love my life and feel like a complete mess. It has been hard for me to be an adult without my parents, to watch my kids grow up without my parents. Every day, that is something that hurts. And yet at the same time, I can have absolute joy in seeing my parents come through and how I parent. And absolute joy in my parents coming through with my kids. It's this idea that life is not one or the other. Life is a mix of everything. And part of being alive is recognizing that and being okay with it. Even if you're not okay with specific things happening, you can be okay with the fact that life is not going to be perfect all the time. And people who portray a perfect life all the time, I think they're doing a disservice to themselves and the world, personally. Anyway, moving forward. Adjustments. What adjustments do I want to make in my life in 2023? Now, this is actually one I have been doing, maybe not in so many words. I've been doing a lot of thinking of in the shower, where I do my best thinking. Adjustments in my life in 2023, more time with Jesse, more time with friends, start home hemo, but make sure that it's not the focal point of my life, refocus on what matters work-wise, get the kids on some adulting shit, start attending church, get back on the Peloton, hopefully once I get some energy back after dialysis, be compliant with the dialysis diet as I have a dietitian assisting me on that. Pay off the debt that we've accrued, and some outside shit, like landscaping and getting the outside of the house painted, things like that. This is more like goals. They're not necessarily adjustments, but they kind of are the direction I want to go. Okay, so what's left in this book is this letter to me section, which I'm not going to do. Letters to your future self. That is one of those exercises. As much as I have been able to kind of bring myself into the world of goal setting and vision boarding and all that other stuff, letters to my future self are not something I have ever been able to get comfortable with, in part because it is really hard for me to imagine my future self, both because of my parents dying in their 40s. There's like a gap in my understanding of what growing older looks like. It goes from my parents dying in their early 40s to my grandparents being in their mid to late 60s. There just isn't an in-between for me, even though I'm sure there were parts of my life where my grandparents were in their 40s when I was alive, but I don't remember it that way. They've always been my grandparents to me. And my uncle, who is still alive, has always been the same age to me, even though he's only 14 years older than me, and he's always been kind of eternal to me. So there's this issue of kind of a 20-year gap in my understanding of what it is to be human. So that's part of it. Another part of it, and I think this is something new in my understanding of why these things might not work as well for me. I have aphantasia. I can't visualize things. I can't make pictures of things in my mind. It's a very weird place to be as an artist. But I used to think that when people talked about seeing things in their mind, that they were using a metaphor. And so that's the other problem. Like, visualize your best life. Like, I really can't. It's how I feel. That's what I care about. And it's not, I'm not trying to be ornery about this. It's just something that I can't even force myself to do it in a way that is at all authentic to myself. If I wanted to be like my future self, reading a letter to myself, instead what I would look at is things like my goal setting from 5 years ago or whatever, to see where my frame of mind was then, rather than writing myself a letter. So, for example, everything in this book, if I go back to it 10 years from now, and I'll hang on to this book, if I go back to it, I can look at it and see where my frame of mind was right before I started dialysis. That would be valuable for me. But a letter to my future self, it just is not something I can bring myself to do. However, this reflections page, which is more of a worksheet, this definitely is something that I am going to do right now and go through with you. 3 words to describe 2022: hard, interesting, and restful. 3 words to describe how I felt in 2022: mellow, sad, and peaceful. 3 words to describe how I want to feel in 2023: purposeful, stable, and a little better. What am I most excited about for 2023? Moving forward instead of treading water. Very specifically, this means, like, as much as I'm scared and worried about dialysis, I'm also glad in a way, because it feels like I've been dreading it since 2018 when I first started getting my fistula. And there's a level of relief that comes with knowing it's here. And that is something I'm looking forward to. Just let's get this going, and just let's move past the beginning part and make it just part of my life. Feeling a little better, hopefully from the dialysis. And I mean, we're seeing Muse in April. Hell yeah, we are. What areas of my life will be my focus in 2023? The main one will be health and wellness, but the other 3 that'll kind of be, I think, kind of getting a little bit more attention than they got this year were financial, spiritual, and personal growth and work and learning. What am I going to say no to in 2023? Letting dialysis take over my life, not asking for help, and overscheduling myself. And what am I going to say yes to in 2023? Therapy. Taking things one day at a time and open communication with everyone in my life. Because I can't put my head in the sand or be passive aggressive, which are both things I tend to do. What am I going to stop apologizing for? Needing help and being sick. It sounds silly, but there are times when I apologize to Jesse for not feeling good. And he's like, why are you apologizing to me? And then who will be my support network? Jess, the kids, this community, my sisters, my friends, my uncle, and therapy. So that is this reflections journal. I don't really have much else to write. This actually feels really good because now I feel like I can move into the goal setting for 2023 with some of my thoughts a little bit more organized. That'll be my next video. And so I'll look forward to seeing you then. But in the meantime, if we look at this, give me one word to describe 2022 in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, friends, peace.